Javed, I want to turn my attention to you, and I want to ask you that the United Nations has said that the Israeli actions that we've seen over the past year and the past few months and all those years, these amount to an apartheid and genocide. How are you analyzing the Israeli blockade against the Palestinians?
Well, Israel being an apartheid state is a foregone conclusion. There are dozens of laws in Israel which clearly discriminate Palestinians. Palestinians cannot vote in any general elections in the occupied Palestinian territory, which is known now Israel. Now, again, the bigger issue is if Israel doesn't want to create another state for Palestinians, they are not even giving them equal rights. Now, they are maybe few Palestinians who've been made citizens of Israel. They can probably give their voting right, but so far as millions others are concerned, they don't have a voting right. So that is just a tip of the iceberg. But in a bigger picture, in their social fabric, there is a clear discrimination. There are laws which have been made by the Israeli parliament which discriminate Palestinians. So far, the apartheid structure is concerned, I think it is clearly a foregone conclusion. But the world is not accepting it. It's just like a South African like situation. As much as South Africa had that apartheid structure, and in a similar fashion, it is Israel which has apartheid structure. I think nobody has understood it better than the South Africa, because that is why it had gone to the International Court of Justice with the complaint that this apartheid structure goes much beyond, and it is conducting a genocide in the Palestinian territory, though I believe that the OIC should have been the petitioner, but they have not raised this issue. I think in our general communications, whenever we give reference of Israel, we must use the word of apartheid, because by using appropriate terms which reflects the situation on the ground, we actually create an imagination among the minds of the people with whom we communicate that what does Israel stand for. And I think to begin with, it was apartheid structure long ago. Now the second phase we have already seen, as from ethnic cleansing to genocide. They are doing it publicly. But the very question that you have raised, that is extremely important. And I will will take a leaf from what Brother Muhammad said, that basically now it is the international order has been buried on in the debris of Gaza. Thousands of people are still under the rebels, from 11,000 to 25,000. I mean, I think this order has been buried down there. There is a clear culture of impunity when it comes to Israel. Both European countries, Americans, they've been providing it. In the USA, you can criticize anyone, but not the Jews and not the Zionists. In Germany, in the rest of most of the Europe, you can criticize their governments, their political leaders, not the Zionists and the Jewish elite. And the reason being is, there is a proverb which says that the one you cannot criticize, they rule over you. So Zionists are ruling over it. They, over the period of time, over the course of decades, something we used to intellectually discuss, that these are the conspiracy theories about the Zionists, about the Freemasons. Now we are seeing all that, witnessing that those were the facts, and we were being basically brainwashed with the secular paradigm, whereby we were being told that all people are equal, there should be freedom of expression, there should be freedom of association. We have now seen in the USA that the green card holders are being deported from the USA. The universities, their funds are being blocked by the Donald Trump administration. Reason being that they are protesting, they are raising their voice over the genocide. The fact it is being a genocide is a foregone conclusion, since there is an ICJ judgment, and then there is also ICC, International Criminal Court's interim order, which calls for the arrest of Prime Minister Netanyahu and his outgoing defense minister. So in a broader context, the bigger picture is that now I think the kind of the situation that we are in, I think it is just short of another resolution in the UN Security Council, which must now, I think, in this kind of situation, which must call for giving an impunity to the apartheid state from all kind of crimes, because that is what the Israel has been doing. That is the only thing which needs to be left to be done. Otherwise, we have seen Germany. Germans have a lot of guilt of what they did with the Jews in the World War II by conducting a Holocaust. But I don't understand if a similar Holocaust is being conducted in Gaza, they don't have a problem. So I think in a broader picture, the world order is not there. It is a transformative phase. I think who will be the next superpower in years to come, that will determine new world order. This world order is a fast dying down. It had simply a selective application onto the Muslim countries. They have destroyed the Muslim countries from Middle East to the African countries like Libya. It is not going to work.
Now, Javed, I want to ask you, over the past few months, and ever since this genocide started in Gaza, we've been seeing international protests. There are so many actors involved. There's Turkey, there are countries which are directly impacted by this war. There's Egypt and Jordan. Tell me about the reaction that these governments have taken during the war and even before the war, and how are they trying to find out a solution to end the war, because Jordan and Egypt have outright rejected that they will not be taking Palestinians, which was the Israeli plan to displace them. So how are they reacting to whatever's going on right now?
I think to begin with, the very idea that the Palestinians should be expelled, I think this cannot be accepted, even by satellite states like Jordan or Egypt, because that is going to change the very demographic of those countries. But I think to begin with, when this genocidal war started off, and the ethnic cleansing war started off, then there were conferences, OIC conferences, and then OIC's summit level conference, foreign minister level conference. I think some proposals were floated, and those proposals essentially came from Turkey, Iran, and I think there was one third country. And those proposals was basically to go for some kind of economic blockade. I think that idea could not take off. The reason being is, I'll have to say it again and again, that the Arab monarchs, they are in league with the apartheid state. Their leaders have been meeting, though despite the fact that some of these Arab countries have not formally normalized diplomatic ties. So they want Hamas and other jihadi groups to be eliminated in Gaza. That is their first priority, because if Hamas wins, they believe that since Hamas is let's not get into the nomenclature, it is an extension of the Muslim Brotherhood, which have its secret branches all over the Arab countries. So they can take over these Arab countries whenever there is a bigger uprising, and they have already partially experienced in form of Arab Spring some 15 years ago. So I think those were the fears which are driving their policy towards Gaza. And UAE is fully on board with Israel. They've been telling Israel, and they're very upset, that they need to eliminate at every cost Hamas. Even UAE Red Crescent has been spying against the Palestinian and to Israel. They're trying to locate where are the launching pad, rocket launching pad in Gaza. So they are partners in the crime. A lot of could have been done. I think this gas, which both Egypt and Jordan has been importing from Israel, I think that could have been blocked. And in a similar fashion, Saudi Arabia, instead of supporting, they've been a bigger part of the problem, because they help Israel to divert its trade from the Red Sea from there to Jordan and then to the West Bank and Israel. Again, the point is that when we talk of finding a solution, we have to see the situation on the ground, that there is a very small, narrow-minded picture that these monarchs have developed. They look at their vested political interests, they look at the fear paradigm that they have developed, and then they decide accordingly. All statements that comes from these Arab monarchs in Arab League or in OIC, I think people really do not believe in it. OIC has made itself a kind of a laughing stock for the world, and particularly for the Muslims. They do not trust it anymore. So I think now there is a pent-up anger among the Muslims in the Arab countries and also the rest of the world. And this could possibly, if not now, maybe in the longer run, could lead towards some kind of a bigger uprising, particularly in these Arab countries, and their governments can be overthrown. They believe that by supporting Israel, they can survive. I think I would always say to my friends that everything is changing, but only the change is not changing. The process of very change, it keep on happening. I think in the near future, a situation would be different. And more importantly, I think I believe that now there is a beginning of an end of Zionism. Now, all over the world, people are well aware who are Zionists, who are the driving force in their countries, in the entire West, in the Europe, in the USA. When the freedom of expression is not there in the USA, when the freedom of association is not there in the USA, do you think people don't understand in the USA? They do understand. I think this kind of policy which is in place in Europe and in the USA, it will have a reaction pattern in years to come.
Javed, now I'll turn my attention to you for the final question. We have around 5 minutes left. I want to ask you about the pressure that Netanyahu has been facing at home. Now, there are many people from his own forces, from the Air Force, from naval forces. They have been protesting the Israeli army's actions in the occupied Gaza Strip. And then the government has cracked down on those dissenters. How is the Israeli government trying to convince the people that what they're doing in Gaza is feasible and they should continue with it, because that's something that the Israeli public is not willing to believe?
I think when you look at the situation with the 360 angle, these are the isolated voices. Israel's social fabric has been brainwashed. They all, if you talk to the younger population in Israel, they are all saying that they are the chosen people. These Palestinians are alien. So whatever the opposition we see in form of these retired army people, they are writing letter to the prime minister opposing this genocide. I think at the end of the day, it is not going to have any tangible effect in policy making. Partly, and also I think there is a only little interest that I think which is of the families of the prisoners of war. They are on the streets not because they have love for the Palestinians or Hamas, but they are obviously deeply concerned about the whereabouts of their loved ones. They know that the Israeli army has been killing them in airstrikes. That is why that little opposition exists. Now, I think the formidable problem in Israel is that there is a now very strong extremist, fascist, so-called far wing. They are in power now. Their finance minister has been calling shots. Even he had called for carrying out a nuclear bomb onto Gaza if the things don't go in their way. So I think in a broader picture, I don't expect that this is going to work. And then there was also legislation in Israel whereby the Supreme Court's powers have been curtailed. Prime Minister himself is facing corruption charges. And there is a lot of opposition from within the system. But for Netanyahu, in order to sustain this genocidal war, he has to create conditions whereby in one way or the other, he can go along with whatever he is doing on Gaza. I don't expect that these insignificant vices will have any impact in weeks and months to come, so far as Israel's genocide is concerned in Gaza and frequent violence against Palestinians in the occupied West Bank.
Senior political analyst Javed Rana, thank you for being on the program with us today.
The growing tide of anti-Israel sentiments. What you see behind me is just tip of the iceberg of what is happening in the country. More than half of $52 billion black CIA budget is spent on espionage network in Pakistan. How would you handle it?
The US has looked upon Pakistan as an ally at one point and then as an enemy at the same time.
that is going to be the first legal reason on the basis of which he is going to be instantly ousted by the Supreme Court of Pakistan.
Joining us live, Javed Rana, who's an expert on politics and geo-strategic issues.
In the world politics, which is not being driven by any moral principle, it is being driven by the hard geo-strategic realities. In a broader picture, more countries would aspire to have nuclear weapons.